In the next section of this exercise, you're going to be joining RDDs together. So this would be some new operations that will allow you to work with RDDs. We're going to join the README and the changes file. Both of these files have been copied into HDFS. So let's create the RDDs for them. I just created the RDD for README, and now I'm going to create one for the changes file. Let's just take a look to see how many Spark keywords are in each file. We're going to run the filter command, and we're going to look for the line that contains the word Spark, and we're going to count it. Let's do the same thing for the changes file. How many Spark keywords are in that? Okay. Now let's do a word count on each of the RDDs so that the results will give you the key value pairs, essentially the number of occurrences for each words in each of the files. So we'll start with the README file first. I'm going to call that README count. That's going to first invoke the flat map operation to split up the words from the line. So essentially we'll have one word per line, and then we're going to map each word to the value of 1, from which we can reduce by key. And here you see the shorthand notation for the reduce by key. Essentially we're going to add two keys together, the value of the two keys together, to get the final count. So when this is done across the worker nodes in the cluster, it's going to be doing it in parallel, and so you get a word count of that README file. And let's do the exact same thing for the changes.txt file. Breaking up the words from the line to have individual words per line, and then mapping each word to the value of 1, and finally reducing it by the key to do a count of the number of words. Okay, to view each of the files individually, the word counts, we'll just call the collect operation. That's just going to give you the list of words and their counts, and the same thing can be done for the changes RDD. Now why don't we join these two together to get a collective word count? To join the RDDs, you're going to use the join function. The join function will essentially take the key value from one and add the key value from another to get key and then the two values next to each other. So this is the default action that is taken in a join operation. So I'm creating a join RDD README count, the first RDD dot join changes count, which is the second RDD. So that creates the join RDD, and then I want to cache the RDD, and I'll print everything out onto the console. So I'm going to call join.collect .for each. We're going to iterate through and print onto the console. So you'll see here the key, and then is a key value pair of the values. For example, the word print appeared 1 time in the README file and 5 times in the changes file. So this is the default operation of the join. And what if you want to combine, for example, the two values and add them up, right? That might be more useful. So the next step, we're going to combine these values. So it's going to show you the key and then the combined sum of the two values from the join data set. So I'll create a new RDD called join sum. That's going to do a map operation, and so for each key I'm going to grab the first index, so it's dot underscore 1, which which grabs the value of the first index of the original data set, and then we're going to map it back out the way it is. So this is the key. We're going to reprint the key out, and then for the value we're going to do some addition on it. So the second index is actually an index of array, so that's why I can invoke the key k._2, and then so in this case it's a 1.1. that's a 1, 1 is an array, so I want the first value of that array, which is ._1, and I want the value of the second array, which is again the second index, right? It's a k._2, which is that array, and then you're going to call the second index of that array, which is ._2. so it's ._1 plus ._2, and you add it together. So that is the RDD, which is called join sum. Again, that's the key, and then we have the array element, the first array, and then the second element of the array added together. So we're adding both values of the keys together. Let's call the collect to take a look. So check it out. Now we know that the value CLI, appeared 5 times across both files, and basically everything else shows you the combined value. You want to make sure it's correct. You can just do a take 5, which grabs the first 5 element of the original joined, and I want to print it to the console, and then I'll be doing the same thing for the join sum, which is a combined one, to see that the values have indeed been added together correctly. So CLI was 1.4, now CLI is 5, and then you can see how all the values are added together correctly.